Welcome to Ionic tutorial. I am Jayesh Lahare. This is video number 19. In this session we will learn about JSON parsing, and using JSON parsing we will perform certain click events, as well as we will learn about certain UI implementation. So in this session we are going to cover few basic functionalities like JSON parsing and click events, which many developer faces nowadays. So let's see what is the UI and what we are trying to achieve in this session. So here you can see that there is a button get data. When I click over it, it brings some data from server in form of JSON. So here you can see that this is the JSON which is coming from server with different objects, JSON objects and JSON array. JSON objects like name, country, Canada is the key and it's a value. So these objects are printed over here in form of HTML, and when user click on certain element or certain value, let's say Veronica, this one, then it will show that particular value, Veronica, Mexico, dancing, in alert. Like this response is came in form of JSON or a string, and we have bifurcated that string in form of objects and printed over here in different sections. So this is the common feature which many developers implements using JSON and click functionality. So this video is on-demand video. So let's see how we can create this kind of functionality using Ionic framework. So before starting, we have to design our JSON response, which we are going to display in UI and which we are going to use in our this get method. So in this session I'm going to take the help of HTTP get method. If you want to know more about HTTP get and HTTP post method implementation, then you can refer my previous videos over HTTP. So let's create the JSON now. So for creating the JSON, I usually take the help of one website, which is jsoneditoronline.org, in which I can create my JSON. So every JSON start with the this curly bracket open, then over here you can write record, and this will be type of array. So array start with square bracket open and close, and in this square bracket I'm going to add some attribute, let's say name. Let's use name as Albert, then age, let's say 28, and country is USA. So in this editor you can validate your JSON whether it's proper or not. So you just write on left side and click over this arrow icon. So if everything is fine, then it will show the blueprint of your JSON object. So here you can see that it's these are the object or at 0 position. This is the array, and this is the value of our JSON. So if it's looking fine on right side, then you have created JSON properly. So let's create a few more objects for our testing purpose. So I will simply change its name, let's say Kimberly, age 32, country Canada, and third one is John, 45, country Mexico. Let's create one more. Veronica, age let's say 35, again country Australia, and see whether it's working. Yeah, so on right side it's printing, it's a value, means it's the JSON is proper. Now For this session, like for learning purpose, we are trying to read this JSON from server, so we will require help of one server. So you can take the help of myjson.com. In myjson.com you can simply copy your JSON data and just paste it over here. But before pasting, make sure that your JSON is proper and validated. So when you paste it, just hit the save button and it will give you this URL. So this URL will be, we will be using this URL inside our Ionic project. Using get method, we will hit it and we will print the response. So this is the response of a JSON. So let's keep it open there for a moment until we are going to implement this URL in our application. So let's open the command prompt and let's create the project. Ionic start. Let's give the name JSON basics, and I will use blank template. Nope. Okay, it looks like a project is created. Now let's go inside our project directory, which is JSON basics, and let's hit okay, before hitting the Ionic serve command, let's add one provider through which we are going to connect with the server, which will be responsible for writing or implementing our network logic. So for that, first I will generate the provider, then after I will hit the Ionic serve command. So for that, write Ionic generate provider and provider name. So for this session I'm going to take help of or let's create provider with the name network engine. Okay, it looks like network provider engine is created. Now let's hit Ionic serve command. So if you want to know more about provider and how to use them, you can prefer my previous video over events, in which I have shown like how to share data between different pages using events and providers and other methods. Okay, it looks like our Ionic app is started. So let's go to our project directory and let's delete these all stuff which is a template. So let's go to our project directory, then src, pages and home.html, which is the entry point of our this Ionic application. So let's edit this. Json Parsing basics, and over here I will create one button. Let's say button ion button, get data from server, and hit the save button. So this is the UI which is updated over here, and button looks a little bit small. So for that I can take the help of full attribute. So you can see that now button is consuming whole width of the parent. So UI is little bit ready. So let's write our network logic first, through which we will be hitting get method of our server. Like we will be hitting this URL. So let's go to this project and let's go to provider and let's open network engine.ts file. So over here I'm going to implement one method which will be responsible for hitting the URL, and whatever the response coming from the server, it will return to the caller function. So this is the function call server to which I am providing one parameter, and in response it will provide me a promise object. So promise is an Angular object functionality. If you want to know more about, I will suggest to read more about Angular platform. Okay, it's saying me void because I'm not returning anything. Anyway, let's write our logic. So my URL or my get method will be returning me response, so I will write one response type object of type promise of type any, and in this response I will hit this dot HTTP. HTTP is written over here, like HTTP is a HTTP client which will be responsible for communication using HTTP protocol. So over here I will write http.get. You can take the help of post or option, whatever, or port, whatever you need, but in this case I will just use get method and I will pass URL, and this URL, this get method is going to return. You can use subscribe or any other, but I'm going to take the help of promise, which is synchronous in nature, and promise is going to return me then and catch two situation. Then is the situation when everything is executed properly and server has responded with proper data, and catch is the situation when there is something error. So in then I will simply write response data, response. I will return response data as it is. Then I will press the dot again and I will implement our catch functionality. But before implementing catch functionality, we need to write one method which will return error type. So I will create this error display, and I will create error parameter of type any, and this will be returning promise again of type any. Return promise dot reject error dot message if there is any error message, or simply return the error. And I will just copy this functionality, and in catch I will write error and I will paste this method. Okay, so here I have to mention this dot. Okay, so this is the line which will be executing our network call. This line is executing a network call, and whatever the response is coming, it will return that response inside this response object. Now on next line we need to return this response to a caller function. So we are done from this network engine. Now it's time to implement our get button functionality. So I will write, or I will bind this button with click event, and in this event I will call get server data, and let's copy this function, and in TypeScript let's implement its business logic. So over here, like you can see that home.html is calling to this get server data, and get server data function is mentioned inside our home.ts file over here. Now in this file, in this method, we will be calling our network engine call server method, this one. So let's go to home.ts again, and over here first let's write or declare the URL. The URL is this one, which will be returning our JSON object. So I will copy this JSON URL and I will paste it over here. But before copying, make sure that you have, like before calling the network engines any method, make sure you have imported network engine provider over here. So for that you can do one thing, you can import network engine. So the path is pretty big and it looks big to me. So for that you can do one thing, just go to your app directory and open your app.module.ts and copy this line, which is also importing our network engine provider, and our network engine provider is this one, network engine.ts file. So I will just copy this line from app.module.ts and I will paste it in home.ts file. So this will save my finding logic issue. So over here you can see that it's again giving me issue because the path is not correct, because we are looking from different directories. So for that just write // and before that put double dots. So error is gone. So if you want to use any method of our network engine provider, then make the entry of our provider network engine inside the constructor. That's it. And over here in get server data method, simply write this dot network dot call server. Call server is the method which we have written inside our this provider, and over here simply pass URL. So this is executing our network call and returning some promise, but we are not receiving any response in any object. So for that, create one more variable, let's say server response of type promise any, and simply copy it over here and write like this, and semicolon of course. So we are done over here. Now let's implement our then and catch logic. Server response dot then data. So this is the ideal condition when everything is working properly. So over here I will print the data first. I will write received, and this is returning the object, so object will not print directly. So to print the object, always take the help of json.stringify, and inside that pass data. So our then condition is written. Now implement the catch logic, and in catch logic I will write error, and I will simply write console.log error. Save. I will use save all. Let's see whether our UI do not gives any error, it works properly. Okay, it's saying that uncaught in promise error HTTP client something. So it's giving me error because we have integrated our network engine like this. We had it provider, and this provider using this HTTP client. So when you are using this HTTP client, make sure that you integrate one module, which is HTTP module, in your app.module.ts file. So over here import HTTP client module from, which is part of Angular common / HTTP. That's it. And when you import it, make sure that you make the entry of this HTTP client module inside import. So I will just write over here and I'll press this save. Let's see whether this error disappears or not. Okay, it looks like it's working. Now let's hit the get data button function and let's see whether it on right side on console it prints the response. So I hope you are aware of this inspect element. Like when you open this and you go to inspect, then on right side you can see a lot of things. Like on console you can see the log. So let's hit the data function, and now here you can see that I have received this. This is the JSON which is received from our this URL. So we have received JSON object data from server successfully. Now it's time to implement the UI. Let's write these data in proper format. So before writing this UI, let's start working on designing part, in which we will provide some border and colors and background, etc. So for that, like this is our home.html file. So go to home.html file, and over here you can see there are three files: scss, which is our CSS file, and this is TypeScript, which is our JavaScript file. So in scss file, let's write our designing logic. So if you want to learn more about designing, then make sure that you have basic knowledge of CSS also. So over here I will create one class element, CSS class element, and I will use border of 1 pixel and border type of solid and dark. Let's use some color, dark red, and I want to give some rounded rectangle kind of border. So I will use border radius 5 pixel. Let's give some background color. Let's give some light pink. Let's give something else, light green. And whenever the components are going to print, I want to give some margin between each and every component. So I will use margin dash top, and I will use 10 pixel. Let's save it. Now let's open home.html file, and below the button let's write our div element, in which we will going to print all the components. So I will create div element, and I will implement a CSS class which is box, and my contents. Save it. So here you can see that it's printing and looking a little bit awkward, like on left side it's sticking through the edge. So for that, let's give some padding from left side, 10 pixel. Save it. Okay, it's looking a little bit good now. So let's write our business logic now. In home.ts file, we have received this get server data, and we was printing this data over here in console. Now in this session, what we are going to do is, we have these JSON array, and in JSON array we have multiple objects, and these objects containing this key, name, age, and country. So in this session what we will do is we will create 3 different arrays like name, age, and array. We will read each name and we will store these name individually in single array. Then we will read age and we will store these age in individual array which is age. So we'll read these 3 elements and store these 3 elements in 3 different arrays. So for that let's create 3 arrays. I will call it name of type any, then country again of type any. I prefer to choose any because most of the time it not clear that what will be the type of return, so I prefer to choose any because it can hold any type of data. You can choose a string. So three arrays are created. Now it's time to parse our JSON. Like JSON is inside this data variable and it's time to parse it. So I will create a separate method. Let's say consume or parse JSON and one parameter which is data, and over here I will start parsing our JSON. So let's call this method from our server response and let's pass this data. So when you are going to parse your JSON data, make sure that you are aware of your JSON format completely. Like here you can see that in my JSON format, my first element which is array and its name is record or key name is record. So first I will parse this JSON in let JSON array equal to data dot it will not show anything over here in this ID, but you have to write the proper name of the key. So in my case the name is record, so I will just copy this name and I will just paste it over here. So in JSON array it will hold the record array, like it will copy all these elements which belongs to this record array. So my JSON array is ready. Now it's time to read all the objects. So before reading the object, I make sure that I will make sure that I will initialize my these arrays again, because it might possible I click the get button twice or multiple time, then I do not want to copy again and again the same value. So for that I will reset the value even if the user tried to double click or accidentally hit the get data button. This dot country equal to this, and let's write our parsing logic. So for that let's create one loop, for loop, and I less than JSON array dot length. So whenever you are writing this kind of code, then it do not gives you hint, so you have to remember that what will be the method we are going to use. Like length is not coming in suggestion, so I just return it, but it will work because this editor is not able to read that what is the type of this JSON array right now. Okay, it's giving me error because I have written int. So instead of int, let's write let. Okay, so this will iterate this JSON array, and in this JSON array it will give me all these JSON objects. So I have to read these JSON object first. This semicolon represents JSON object. So for that, first let's create one JSON object equal to JSON array of I. So this will return me JSON object available at certain index position. For example, first time when i's value is 0, then it will return me first variable, first object, which is this one. When the loop increases and index reaches to 1, then it will return me this object, and so on. So I have object. Now it's time to fill our array. So this dot name dot push is the method through which you can insert the element inside our array. So inside this I will use JSON detail or JSON object dot name. So name is the key again. So make sure that this value name is same as this one. Like here you can see that the name is in uppercase, but I am writing in lowercase, so it will not work. It will not give me value. It will give me null value in this case. So make sure that it is same. Similarly, do the same thing for other two variables, two array, which is age and country. Yep. So we have created, or we are ready with our these three arrays. Now it's time to read these three different arrays and show it on the HTML page. So let's go to our home.html, and over here let's start writing our business logic. So for that I will delete this one and I will repeat this block. So I will take the help of ng for equal to let. So in Angular for loop works in different way, but in TypeScript or JavaScript it works in different. So I will iterate the name array. You can iterate age or country, but in this case I'm just going to take the help of name, because the size of all these three arrays, name, age and country, will be the same. So I will just iterate this one, and after that I will take the help of index. Index will help me to read the other arrays index location. So inside this I will create again a div element, another, inside div I will create paragraph, and inside paragraph I will create span. So span and paragraph, these are the container again, but I am using span inside paragraph because span consumes only that much width which the component is required, but paragraph component or div component takes the whole width of the parent. Then first is label. This span will show the label, and another span which will show the value of array. So I will take the help of inner HTML equal to, and over here I will simply write name of I. So this will print name. I will simply copy this line and paste it over here, and I will do it for the age and country. So we are done. I will simply use save all function button, and let's see whether there is any error in browser. Okay, it looks like everything is compiled properly. So let's hit the get data button, and here we go. Here you can see that it's received this JSON from server, and it's printing in this div block. Now it's time to implement the click functionality. Like if user clicks on any block, let's say John, this one, third one, then it show it's a value. If user clicks on first one, then it should show this value. So for that, let's go to home.ts file again, and over here let's create one function. show details, and this function will take 3 parameters: name, age and country. I will just create these characters, which is not a proper way, but you can choose a proper parameter name. And over here I will write hello n, which will be our name, then your age is A, country is C. That's it. So this will print the alert. Now let's save it and let's call this function on click of this block. It's loading. On the click of this block, let's call that show detail function, this one. So for that, let's go to home.html again, and this is our div block. So on div block, I will implement our click functionality. Click equal to the name of the function, which is show detail, and it's taking 3 parameters: show details, and over here let's pass these name of I, then age of I and country. That's it. So we are done. Like the show detail will call for each and every element. So let's save it, or let's make it save all, and let's wait for the UI. So here you can see that I hit on the button. Now it's showing me this value. Now let's click on some div element. Let's click on Kimberly. So when I click on Kimberly, it will show me this alert: hello Kimberly, your age is 32, country is Canada. When I click on last one, it will show me hello Veronica, your age is 35, country is Australia. So using this behavior or functionality, you can implement a click event, and you can parse your JSON, and you can display it on HTML using different block. And this video is an on-demand video, so I have created this video for Json parsing, and this kind of functionality or feature is generally used or commonly used by the developer. So it will be very helpful for you when you are doing this kind of stuff, where you are reading data or JSON from server and printing on HTML file, and on click of that particular item you want to perform certain functionality. So this is the core. You can implement your own, and you can take the help, and you can write the code on advanced level. So if you have any comments or query, then you can write to my video, or if you have any feedback, then again you're most welcome. You can write to my comment section, and if you want me to create any video over any topic, then you can write to me again. So thanks for watching, and if you want to know more about updates, then please subscribe to my channel. So until then, thanks for watching. Bye bye, have a nice day.